Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And people on the line with us today, we have a treat. We're going to be discussing a book called Sin, Walk of Shame, okay? And the author of that is Khrona Tensei. Now, you can find Sin available for purchase through Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. But if you want to gather everything that Khrona has in store, do yourself a favor and head directly to his personal site. Now, it's called theveritas.forummotion.com. There, you'll be able to find more information on Khrona, more information on this book, as well as another book that he's written. It's called The Veritas, and that's also available there. Now, for Amazon, for purchasing, you have to go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but definitely check out theveritas.forummotion.com to gather more information on everything he has going on. You surely will not be disappointed. And I do want to say that Khrona was brought to our network by some of the best publishers in the business today, okay? Author Reputation Press. So if you or anybody you know have a book that they'd like moved, give yourself the best gift you could possibly give. Contact ARP and have their fantastic team move it for you. You can find out more information on them at authorreputationpress.com. And people, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Khrona here on the line with us. The moment you go to his Amazon page, Barnes & Noble, his personal website, you start to do any research on his book, Sin. Now, right there, the word itself is instantly going to bring up the 7 deadly sins. Whether you're religious or not, I'm sure you heard of it. I'm sure you've been involved in whether it was a preaching by your parents or some older figure, whatever the case may be, right? The 7 deadly sins. We're going to be discussing that today, and it's a really creative spin that he's put on it. And it really, instantly, when I was doing research on it, I heard the name, and I started thinking about the 7 deadly sins, and it brought me back to previous books that I've read, right? Like Dante's Purgatory and other books alike. And my imagination is just running wild, as I know yours is as well, because when you talk about that fantasy world, it is something that, of course, we know nothing about, but so many people contemplate. And it brings up such an intrigue, and I love it. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for a ride, because Khrona's going to take us on one. So without further ado, let's bring him here with us. Khrona, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest, man. How you doing today?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
Fantastic. Well, listen, it's a pleasure to have you here. And listen, I truly mean it. What you're putting on here, taking away from just the fact that the concept and everything that you've already embarked upon is amazing, right? And the journey that you're taking your readers on is incredible. Also, just with this pandemic, of course, man, absolutely. Just with this pandemic that we've all experienced and we're still going through in varying degrees, we could use an exit, man. So this is the perfect time for a book of this magnitude with a wonderful message underneath. Before we go into your book, Khrona, I want to learn a little bit more about you, though, man. Tell us a little bit more about your background, please.
I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. I have been writing for over 15 years. But before I started actually writing stories, I drew pictures, which is how this book came to be when I was younger, and I was in high school, actually, just starting high school, and I drew these pictures of my depictions of the 7 deadly sins, and I said one day I would make a story of them, but I got sidetracked on other stories and so on and so forth, so it circled back around as an adult, and here we are now.
There you have it, Khrona. Thank you very much for sharing, man. You know, I'm definitely envious when you talk about being in it, because of course, I'm an artist. I come from a family of artists, and my main artistry, of course, is acting and filmmaking, right here in Southern California, things of that nature. But
okay.
when you talk about, drawing, right? When you were younger and drawing illustrations and things of that nature, I was never gifted that talent. And I'm so envious of people that know how to draw because it's incredible. I'm in awe whenever I see lots of my friends, they're illustrators and designers in that regard. And it's incredible when I see that. So congratulations on that talent, man. That's wonderful. And Khrona, without further ado, let's talk about your book, Sin, Walk of Shame. Tell us a little bit more about it.
That book, I intended for it to have a message that could be relatable, of course, but also to get into the deeper meat of the 7 deadly sins and the heavenly virtues, the 7 heavenly virtues, as well as hell itself and, everyone's general journey through it in their own type of sins and how to redeem themselves, in a manner that would be easy to grasp through imagery and things.
Absolutely. So for clarification, Khrona, so when we're talking about the 7 deadly sins, right, and we're walking through the process, and of course, not to list them all, right, guys, but, 7 deadly sins, pride, greed, wrath, I know lust is in there. I think envy, 1 or 2 others. But the 7 deadly sins, of course, so you're walking through that, and there's just that underlying notion of the education that you're receiving as the reader just from knowing them. But when we're talking about the 7 heavenly virtues, to my understanding, would that be kind of like an antithesis to the sins? So like greed would be battled with selfishness, unselfishness. Talk to me a little bit more about the 7 heavenly virtues.
Yes, of course. So I did my research when I was younger because I was very interested in the concept at the time. Mm-hmm. It just came to me, and I was interested in many things and drew pictures of many things. So when it came to that one, I looked up the 7 deadly sins first, and it led me to discovering the 7 heavenly virtues, which are indeed antitheses of the sins. Like, for example, greed would be counteracted by, I believe it was charity. Yes, charity is the counteraction of greed. So those are not as well known as the sins themselves, as I am sure that many are aware. Some don't even know that there are counterbalances at all.
Absolutely.
But all of them are just, basically the moral things ethically that were meant to ensure that the sinful nature of humans is kept in check and eventually cleansed from them, but through practice.
People, again, we're here on the line with Khrona Tensei. We're discussing his amazing book, Sin, Walk of Shame, available for purchase through Amazon as well as BarnesandNoble.com. But to gather more information, head to his personal website, theveritas.forummotion.com. Now, Khrona, thank you very much for all the information that you laid out so far, man. And the thing that keeps coming up is absolutely what you were talking about in the previous answer is when the 7 heavenly virtues is not something that is very well known, because I didn't know about it until I ran into your book, right? And I was doing research on it. It was a new notion that was brought up. And I love that. And I think that's so much of where the power lies in your book, is because we know about this. Again, as I stated when we first started, whether you're religious or not, you know about it. Now, you may not believe in it, which is why, okay, if you don't believe in it, this is pure entertainment. It's fantastic even for that. But if you do believe in it, now you have education in addition to the entertainment. And that's profound, man. I really love that. It's fantastic. Next question that I want to go into is, who would you say is your intended audience? And a subset to that, what is the main message that you want them to receive?
Well, I'd say the audience is very general, though it can get very specific. It's more so just to all humanity, really. Every human sins, and every human can find redemption from sin. Mm-hmm. But for those who are actually looking, and those who probably need a message, those are who it's for, and also for anyone who would discover it and need the message also. Well, yes, the message, of course, is that there are sins, that they have power. They're able to take on many forms, and not just what people believe they are or have been told what they are, but plenty of other forms. And I intended to express that through imagery and things such as that, but also that there is redemption for that and a way to prevent them, a way to get out of them, to be redeemed, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just this is a hellacious type of environment and, just condemning, mm-hmm. but also something that is, helpful and hopeful.
I love it. Khrona, we have a few extra minutes here. I want to also go into the other book that you've written and just get a brief synopsis. We're not going to flesh it out. Of course, people, the main anchor for today's interview is all about sin, walk of shame. But I want to talk to you about the Veritas, because that's another book that you've written as well. Talk to us a little bit more about it. Give us a little description, please.
Sure, yes. Now, the Veritas is intended to be the direct sequel to that book, with the intent of completing the story. So that leads into the Veritas, which is, of course, the I guess my own personal realm, continuity, and things like that. But of course, it's guided through the entire process.
Mm-hmm. There you have it. Now we have these two books. Is there anything else on the horizon? Is there another book coming up?
Oh, yes, of course. I have plenty of content that I'm eager to publish. It's just a matter of timing and, getting myself out there, having the finances, having the marketing products, tools, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. I can't just continually publish books and then not have any backup behind it.
Absolutely.
So,
well, listen, people, here's what I want you to do, okay? By the overwhelming show of support, when you head on over to his Amazon, his Barnes & Noble page, and you purchase Sin, Walk of Shame, or the Veritas, by that overwhelming show of support, that's going to let him know he needs to hurry up and get the next one out, okay? Because this stuff is fantastic, and I'm telling you, it's the perfect timing for it because it has a wonderful message underneath, but a perfect getaway. Because we all know there's a lot happening right now, and we could definitely use one. Khrona, last question for you here, man, and I want to take this opportunity because, being an artist myself, I love having the platform to be able to utilize whenever I can to pay it forward, right, to other artists out there listening in. Now, in this instance, for other writers out there, what are some words of wisdom? Any new writer that is listening in right now, what are some words of wisdom that you can offer to them about the journey they're getting ready to embark upon?
Well, I'd say that they should be prepared to have their imaginations titillated, I suppose, and
mm-hmm.
to be aware of the words and the choice of words, and the style and context and things of that nature, tone, mood, syntax. Just be conscious of those, conscientious, because those were intentional. All of it was certainly done intentionally. So whatever is found in there, whatever is gleaned, should be noted for the future.
There you have it. People, listen, I'm going to say it again. I know I don't have to, but we're just going to re-impress it one last time. We're here on the line with Khrona Tensei. We finished discussing his fantastic books, Sin, Walk of Shame, and the other one, The Veritas, both of which are available for purchase through Amazon as well as BarnesandNoble.com. But also check out his personal site, theveritas.forummotion.com, to gather more information on everything that he has in store. I'm telling you, it's a wonderful book to add to your shelf, and even better gift to add to someone else's. So you know where to go to pick up your copies. Khrona, this has been a pleasure, a wonderful honor. I truly mean that. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes, I enjoyed myself as well. Thank you for having me and supporting me and all of these kind words and everything else. Thank you very much.